This webinar is how to communicate your value with branding. Again, it is the secret sauce to your marketing. This is number one. This is what you need to do first. Are you attracting the right type of clients? Are you getting those dream clients that you really want? Are you getting those high value projects? Are you able to charge as much as you want for your services? Right? Really think about that. Are people valuing what you're offering? You guys are doing so much, and most of the time it is not being communicated. We want to make sure it is. Your brand is how your company is perceived by those experiencing it. So think about what you're delivering, how happy your clients are, all the value you're offering. Like, are people understanding that and all that value when they're looking at your brand website online? Or are they not matching up? That's what we're going to talk about. If you're new to us, we're Home Designer Marketing. I'm Deborah Scarpa. Ashley Blazing is here. She is amazing. We have a whole team to help you guys. Um, Copywriters, programmers, SEO experts, all of it. Branding, Ashley does all the website. Designs, gorgeous. They are gorgeous and they're all different and communicate each individual designer's value, right? So, how can we help you? Um, Branding. So, that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is key. We don't want to move forward with driving leads until you have that branding piece nailed down, really, because otherwise you're just wasting a lot of money sending people to a website that's not converting your ideal clients. So, branding strategy, so key. Having that branding strategy in place is key to everything. It is the secret sauce. It is what we're going to be talking about. Copywriting, absolutely key. I know you guys are visual, but people buying from you are different sometimes than you, and they're reading all the copy. So you want it to communicate all that value. And Google for SEO is reading all that copy. It is key to selling higher value work. Logo design, absolutely, that needs to be gorgeous. Custom websites, beautiful websites, that's what we want. Marketing service, after you get that branding piece in place, you want to be driving traffic. You can't just build a website that's gorgeous and communicate your value and then send nobody there. It's very competitive online. You need to be actively driving traffic monthly. If you're sitting around and waiting for people to come, that strategy does not work. And then systems and processes, absolutely. And systems and processes are definitely getting a huge step up right now with all the AI activity. Ashley is actually going to Denver to an AI event to learn even more about really, you know, um, really implementing AI to like get more done,
Yep.
save more.
hmm Yep. It's going to be a deep dive. So I'm super excited to share
Oh
all
my gosh,
of
it's going to be like a brain blow up, right? Where
it.
there's just so much value that you're going to learn. I'm super excited about it. So here we do offer, if you haven't taken advantage of it yet, we offer a free brand website SEO audit, huge value. We do a deep dive. we truly believe you don't know what you don't know. So sign up for the audit and no obligation. We're here to educate you on how you can do better and compare you to your competitors, right? That's the best way to see, like, you know, what you need to do. What are your competitors doing? How can you, compete and be an authority in your space? So today's agenda, branding. Why is your branding so important? Google Business Profile and online reviews, absolutely a must. First impressions and perceived value, right? How somebody is perceiving you, their perception of you. And that's so important to communicate it online because, you know, you might not have the opportunity to talk to them, right? They're going to look you up online first. Make that impression matter. Brand experience and brand assets, elements of your brand that build trust. And again, all our webinars are CEU credits of point one from NKBA, which we're a huge fan of. In fact, we will be speaking at NKBA. Ashley will be speaking
Yes.
um, in New Orleans, right?
In Orlando.
Oh, in Orlando.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm super excited, and it's going to be a deep dive into all the AI stuff. So we're excited about that.
Right.
Um, Now, think about how your ideal client is searching online, right? They're searching Google Maps, they're using keywords and doing searching locally. So local SEO matters, social media, referrals. Even if it's referrals, they're still going to be coming to your website, your Instagram page, they're going to be checking you out online. Online ads, they're not right for everybody. Your brand needs to be in place absolutely before you do any of this. Email marketing, huge opportunity. Build that list. That's a huge opportunity. And then two, branding website. That traffic is going to go to your website online. It needs to generate interest, build trust, and convert. That is your website's job, right? And then the goal is to get your ideal clients. We absolutely are seeing that happen all the time with our clients,
Yes.
right, Ashley?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. Particularly ones who had, a really big change between a website where there was really no content on it, right? So who knows what they offered versus now where not only are their services explained on the website, but it is in such a way that it attracts their ideal client because they're talking to the people that they want to work with. So of course that kind of person is going to go, yep, this is the designer for me, right?
yeah.
So consistently seeing our clients who those who want whole home projects getting whole home projects, or those who want, kitchen only getting kitchen only. So there's no right or wrong. It's what do you want to do the most of and who are your people and let's attract them.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a huge difference. Why is your brand positioning so important? And I want to emphasize, like what Ashley's saying, if somebody comes to us and their brand is a mess and they want us to drive leads to it, we're not going to do it because you know why? Because we're just gonna you're gonna waste your investment. You're gonna be mad. It's not gonna work. Like it is so important, and we need you to be successful. So that's why it's so important. So think about how you guys search for a restaurant, right? Everybody searches online. They're searching for your services. They're putting in Google interior designer near me, kitchen designer near me, whatever it is, those keywords, these are the keywords they're using. And this right here, you have to have a Google business profile right here. and it has to be optimized for all the keywords, not just a few, but many keywords, because you don't know what keyword your ideal client is going to be using specifically, more than one. You want to be showing up, and they're going to be looking at who has the most reviews, and then they're going to be opening maybe 3 to 5 websites to take a look at them.
Right.
And then you have 3 to maybe 10 seconds. Are they interested? Are they not interested? And they're going to close the tab. Like, it is so fast. That's why that first impression. Like, if somebody came to here and they're looking for a big, you know, help with a big project that's high end, you know, they're not going to open and look at, they're just going to close the tab. This website, they're going to be interested.
Yeah, it's that first impression, that word that I really, or words that I really want to make stand out is, like Deborah said, somebody who's going to be building a new home, doing a massive remodel, whatever it may be, the website on the right side, you're going to go, oh, they don't look very put together or organized, right? But then when you go look at the left one, saying, oh, yeah, yeah, I want somebody who's going to be put together all of the things, because what it's going to tell your ideal client when they're looking at that is, how is my experience with them going to be throughout the project, right? So this matters so much. Those three seconds, maybe you get to like 5 seconds, right, to get that first like download of first impression from them, but it really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. A strong website and brand identity will set your business apart from the competition, right? If they're opening multiple websites and they're looking at them, absolutely. Like, that first impression matters. Position you as an authority, generate more leads, help you win larger projects, attract more of your dream clients, help you sell your projects for more. Look at the before and afters. Would you trust that company, the before for a big project if you were a client? No, you wouldn't, right? Validate your company online, increase your revenue. So I kind of see two types of clients like that we work with. One is maybe they just need to validate the company online. Another one is maybe they need to get those bigger projects, right? And drive more traffic. But absolutely, no matter where you're at in your business, this is key. So even if you're starting out, like, doing something smaller that is branded correctly is going to get you better results than, skipping that step. So is your brand being perceived how you want it to be perceived? Right? Is it telling your story? If people are confused and you have to do a lot of education when you're talking to them, maybe there's an issue. Here's a story of a before and after, right? This is the before and this is the after. I have to tell you a funny story of Ashley and I here. So, this client came in. I I do sales, so I talked to her about, she had this flower logo for years. She really loved it. I was going to clean it up, make it more modern. Ashley brought, her company. She did strategy and a deep dive and found out all her clients were men. And Ashley sends me this message. Hey, Deborah, that flower logo isn't going to work. All her clients are men, right? That's how much branding matters.
Yes, yes. And that's who she wanted to continue working with as well, right? So if she was like, I've worked with this type of person all along, but I want to change, that would have been a different conversation, right? But in this case, it was like, nope, that's the wrong path. And we wouldn't have known that had we not, spent a bunch of time online talking through her ideal client and who she wants to serve and all of those things. So it's really important.
Yeah. Here was her before, and then Ashley can talk about her after.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Huge difference. And again, it just comes back to the positioning for her brand. Like if it was a more feminine brand, we wouldn't have gone this route for the website, right? Sure, it would still be a beautiful website, but it wouldn't be right for her ideal client, right? Versus the one we showed you a little bit ago, it's a bit more feminine, right? It's light blues, things like this. This one's more masculine, modern, bold, and that's in alignment with her brand.
Yeah. And the logo, the fonts in the logo, the colors of the brand, the fonts that we're using, here in the website, all of them match, right? And they're all communicating, to her ideal client visually that she's a good fit and in words,
Yes.
right? Both. So is your prospect perception of you online the same as it is in person, right? Is it the same? Are you communicating that value in who you are, right? Like she was not, that last client was not beforehand.
And feel free to put in chat too, kind of how you're feeling with your current positioning. Are you feeling that you're positioned correctly right now? If somebody goes and finds you online and then meets you in person and, goes through your process, or are you not? I'd love to hear about that in chat.
Yeah. And here is another one, right? Where the fonts are beautiful. Like this is after this logo by itself looks like it's a higher end like designer than this one,
Yeah.
right? Where this looks like maybe some clip art or something like that, right? Just the font selection, the beautiful, like Ashley and I have spent days online looking for beautiful fonts.
Hmm.
Here was her website before, right? Super, see how messy and unorganized it is, and um, they're going to get the feeling that that's how they work, right? She's actually a gorgeous designer and does high-end, like, custom homes, right? And this communicates all her value that she offers, right? You get a totally different feeling here than you did, here. How is your company being perceived? Again, like how is it being perceived? Is your brand and company being perceived as affordable, luxury, right? We showed you some examples of before and after. Some of them are looking like they're just starting out. They don't have very much experience. The afters are looking perceived as higher value, right? Same company. Are you being perceived as doing small projects or are you being perceived as doing large projects, right?
Think about this too with the leads that you have coming in. If you're consistently getting leads who are asking for small budget projects or, just a powder room kind of thing, and you
Mhm.
wanting to do the whole shebang or kitchens and things like that, think about why that person is coming to you, right? Because potentially your website and your branding is attracting that. So it's not positioned correctly, right? Again, it's not that there's something wrong with being positioned that way. It's just not correct for you if you want something different. So really actually look at the data of what is coming in and because I hear sometimes when people come in, they're like, oh, I'm only getting, small project leads. I'm like, well, it's because you're positioned wrong, right? So really look at that and pay attention to that.
Yeah. And if you're a company that is starting out, um, we just need a couple of projects photographed beautifully
Right.
to, communicate your value,
Mhm.
right? You don't need, a ton of work. So I want you to think about your branding as not just like thinking about it of where you're actually at. You could be a startup. Where do you want to be? I want it to be perceived for like where you want to be, right? Then you're gonna like think about it as stepping up the gas and speeding up the process of getting the clients that you want.
Mhm.
Here's another one before, and here is his after, right? He has a very clean look. I want Ashley to talk about William because, like, I know we ran into him at NKBA and um, at KBiz, and he is like swamped with work, and his branding has made a huge difference.
He's really doing awesome. Befores, you could see if you could swap back to that before image really quick, Deborah. This is an example of what I was talking about a little bit ago with a small amount of content on the website. You see over on the right side, there's a bio and everything, but the left side was his homepage. There's nothing there, right? Like literally nothing besides a picture and a few links, right? So coming there, yes, you could kind of see there's a really cool kitchen back there, right? But it's not nice and big and beautiful, right? He actually ended up winning a huge NKBA award for that kitchen, but you wouldn't have known it, right, coming here because it doesn't look terribly inviting. So what we did was reposition him, go through all the messaging, make sure that obviously his services were laid out correctly on the website, and make sure that when we are presenting his services on the website, that we're presenting the ones he wants to do the most of first, right? It's the bigger projects, it's the whole homes, it's, things like that. And he's consistently now been getting much more of that work and just better clients, right? Overall, not just better leads, but even better clients. So it's really exciting to see that, but he's doing awesome. And he's really believing that that is to do with his new branding and positioning.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you have no content on your homepage, Google is not going to rank it for SEO,
Right. There's nothing there for
right?
you to look at and rank. Google what's called crawls a website page to see what it should rank for. And if there's nothing there for it to read, it's gonna go, well, I'm not gonna rank this for anything, right? There's nothing here.
Yeah, and if it's not programmed correctly for SEO, then it's not going to know what the page is even about to rank it. It's like, filing it in the library on the wrong shelf, right? It's going to have no idea. So your brand is how your company is perceived by those who experience it. It's more than just your logo. It's your story, style, work, value, messaging. The biggest mistake people make is they might design the logo without even looking at the work or the style or who their ideal client is, right? And design the website or right, they're all connected. They need to be working together. It's a gut feeling that someone gets every time they interact with you and your business, right? It's a gut feeling. Your brand includes both brand experiences and brand assets. So let me talk about that for a second. So, brand experiences, messaging, if you're on time, how easy it is to work with you, what you are wearing, content, how responsive you are, right? If you're like not on time, being unorganized, not communicating, your website's broken, they're going to get a bad gut feeling that you're not organized and don't take care of detail and not wanting you to handle their large project, right? Office organization, consistency, if you follow through, client onboarding experience. There is so much we're going to be doing around this that, and really a lot of this, how you communicate with all the new AI stuff. I'm excited about that.
Yep.
Build trust during your sales process. Schedule multiple interactions to build trust over time. And again, having like automations and stuff that can help you do all these things. Be dependable by doing what you say. Build trust with a professional sales presentation. Share examples of your work to prove you've done it before. Make the best recommendation that fits their needs. Make it easy for prospects to buy from you, right? Make it easy. And setting up these systems and processes, which I know Ashley is like incredible at, right? That's her superpower. Um, you might spend time and invest in setting these things up, but once you do, you can use them over and over and just like once in a while do an upgrade to them. Brand assets. So that was brand experience. Now the brand assets, logo, website, social media profile, Google business profile, Google reviews, super important. Business cards, sales presentations, proposals, invoices, all of those things are brand assets. And then think about elements of your brand assets so that are communicating who you are, what style you are, what type of client you want, what type of projects, color, typefaces, photos, graphic elements, hierarchy of elements, white space, messaging, type of content, social proof, all of these things. Like when Ashley is designing a website, right? You're looking at their work. What fonts are we going to use? What colors are we going to use?
Yeah, I'm looking at your work and I'm also observing you, right? When we have that strategy meeting, what is your vibe? How do you communicate, right? All of those things are so important because, again, somebody's looking at your website because they found you through Google or just on Instagram, whatever it may be. It's more than likely that they haven't spoken to you before. And my goal with that is for them to be like when they actually get on the phone with you or on Zoom or however you do your process, that they feel like they know you already.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Natalie, our copywriter on our team, is amazing at that too, in that strategy meeting. She's just like listening to you and getting like a feel
Yeah.
for, how do we want to communicate, you know, this person. In fact, I have a quick story. I know we have a lot to go through, but quick story is she was meeting with one of our clients and she was reading her their bio for their website content and their about page and and the person got teary-eyed because they were so touched because
Right.
it was like they said nobody had communicated who they were better than she did,
Right.
right? Um, let's talk about your logo. Super important. It is it is so important. Putting a bad logo, outdated logo, a logo that is not communicating, you know, and connecting with your ideal client, not having that right. It's like putting an old couch in a brand new living room, right? It's just not, it's going to just mess up your whole brand. That's the best way I can say it. Like it is key. I get that some people have had it for years. You get attached, just like KML, the one that had the flower. She was super attached to that flower logo, but when we identified that her clients were all male, it was very obvious to everybody, including herself, that that was not the right fit, right? Elements of your logo, the design of it, the colors, the typefaces, hierarchy of elements, white space, company name and tagline, they're all telling a story. Now, if you're an established business, you've had a logo for many, many years, you have a lot of customers, you have a lot of equity in that logo. We might not want to completely change it, but we definitely want to update it and, bring it up to, you know, modern times. And we can do that. We do that all the time, right? And we've done that for clients, like in the past, we worked with multi-million-dollar clients in a different industry, and we would do that all the time. And, if you look at the logo, it still looks like it matches a bit, but it's upgraded. In fact, this one here, Bellisa, you could see elements of this one in her new logo, but this one is just such an upgrade. I want the feeling they get from the whole logo, fonts, colors, mark, to have that high-end feel, like, they're going to a really nice restaurant, or they're going to like a resort, or, you want it to have that luxury feel that this one has that this one doesn't have. And again, here, again, this is her before and this is her after, right? So much of an upgrade. Here's another one, and we have a lot of clients who do change their name to Rooms with Impact. She was more of a staging company, and she wanted to offer interior design. So it was important to not only do a new logo, but change her business name in order to for people to perceive her as an interior designer.
Right.
Your website. So elements of your website. I know there's a lot here. They're all super important. Brand strategy. We've talked about that. Doing a deep dive. Like when we have somebody, a new client working with us, the first thing they do is have brand strategy with multiple people on our team. Ashley, Natalie, Whitney, like all, so we can do a deep dive in getting to know you, getting to know who your ideal client is, how to position you. Key to everything you do. SEO keywords, right? You need strategy to know what keywords to pick. Design and layout, colors, photos, graphic elements. If you're a high-end designer, I don't want to see a whole bunch of like clip art that looks really cheap on the website, right? I want everything to have that high-end look. Hierarchy of elements, negative and white space, typefaces, messaging, content, copy, social proof. All of these are super important. Here's another one before. Super like messy and unorganized, right? Here's her after. Again, she's a beautiful designer. This showcases like and communicates her value. Um, so much more, right? So to start off with, like your website functionality, you need to communicate right away that you're, organized. You pay attention to details. So host your website on a trusted server. That's super important. Like there's a huge difference between like hosting on GoDaddy versus like other options, right? Um, like we do all ours on Webflow, um, but have it on a trusted server so it doesn't get compromised. Make your website navigation simple, obvious. Both Ashley and I are designers. We like to be creative. Your navigation is not the place to be creative. Use a hierarchy of elements so prospects naturally, gravitate. So what we mean by that is like you might have like page headlines and then subheads and then copy, right? Some people are just going to skim the page. Some people are going to read all of it. We need those hierarchy of elements to communicate to your prospects and to Google what the page is about, right?
Yep.
Gravitate to the most important elements. Program your website to be compatible with all devices. That is super important. Test your website to fix any broken links or images. That is super important. Your website content. Again, this is super important. I know I meet with people and they're like, well, I don't think it really matters. I want you to really rethink that. It absolutely does matter. Include an offer that is easy to find, right? Communicate. You can solve their problem on the homepage, like banner right away. That 3 seconds, 10 seconds. I want to know exactly what you do, how you can help your ideal client. Provide valuable content that positions you as an expert. Have a professional design that reflects the quality of your work. Hire a professional photographer to take photos. Again, you don't have to take photos of every single project. Take photos of projects that you want more of, right? And I want the photo to communicate like the bigger picture. Think about every photo. If you look at a photo and it's like somebody could do it themselves, like, and it's just a beautiful photo, then like I want photos where somebody looks at it and feels like, wow, that's gorgeous. I couldn't do that myself. I want to hire you, right? And then include the areas you serve on your website. So use service. So, the work that you're doing. Set your business apart. Oh, I'm gonna add one more thing to the website content here. I want you to think about, just imagine like when you're having a sales conversation with somebody and you're talking to them about the project, what kind of style they're looking for, like how you have that conversation. Then that conversation might go into like what type of services are they looking for? And then what work have you done before? And then, you know, what information about you, and then reviews or testimonials. So think about how you have a sales conversation. I want the content on your website to be in that same kind of, have that same flow. Start off with, about what they're looking for in your services, and then flow into building trust with about information. The biggest mistake people make is they start out with about me, right? If I started a conversation and I've won all these awards, I've been in business this long, you would be like, oh my gosh, Deborah, I don't want to talk to you. I'm going to go talk to somebody else, right? Super important. So, and if you're not a writer, which most of you aren't, work with somebody who is. It is super important. It is worth the investment. Um, Set your business apart. So, what is your superpower? What makes your company products or services unique? Do you offer a better quality product or service? Do you have faster project turnaround times? Are you more hands-on with your customers? Do you have a better process that will guarantee the results? Do you have more experienced team, right? Ashley and our team is amazing at figuring this out, right? Because
Yeah, and it all comes down to that meeting, right? And really just multiple meetings into getting to know you. But sometimes things come out and we're like, wait a second, say that again, And it's maybe something you don't even realize. That is super special. So it's really important to speak with somebody who can help uncover that.
yeah. And I think what happens a lot of times too, I see, and Ashley, you can confirm this, is like the designer won't even know, or the company won't even know that it's really unique to them. So it's important to work with somebody in the industry who understands that, wow, like this is huge value. People, like their ideal clients, would really like to know this information. We need to communicate it.
Yes, and that's key, right? To put it bluntly, would your clients care about whatever that thing is, right? Because that's when you know it needs to be communicated.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I was just talking to somebody and they definitely had a really defined like niche they wanted to work in, and they have some huge advantages over other interior designers in their area for doing those types of projects because they have so much experience in that area, right? So here's another one. Here's before, right? Looking at this site, it looks like she just started out It doesn't look like she has a sense of design. I know well, people will look at the photos and then they'll understand. They might not get to looking to the photos. They might just close the tab. Like, you really have to step it up. Here is her after, right? So if somebody came here versus here, the perceived value is such a big difference, right? And like if somebody is looking for somebody to do a bigger project, they're going to trust this company more than this company. They're also going to assume that she charges more, right? Tell your company's story. Write a story about your past, present, future. Share interesting facts about you and your business. Share the problems you are passionate about solving. Write about your why, inspiration, and purpose. Let them know why you are passionate about helping them, right? Like Ashley and I are super passionate about helping you guys because we're both trained as graphic designers and design is super important to us, right? But obviously you need more than just design, right? But that is where our like core comes from. We want you guys to look beautiful everywhere. I want someone to come to your website, you know, and feel like emotionally, wow, I am in love with this person. I want to work with this person no matter what, right? Be human by letting your prospects see behind the curtain, right? We don't want to let them see everything. Like if your office is a total mess, we don't want them to see that, obviously, but a little story here and there can definitely communicate like why you're passionate about what you do. Build trust with social proof. Have you been published or spoken at events? What well-known clients or partners have you worked with? Uh, how many clients have you worked with? Do you have positive online reviews? That is super, super important. So keep working on those reviews, respond to them, whether no matter what review they gave you. Reviews can be from clients, partners, vendors, right? If you're having a hard time getting reviews, you can also think about like interviewing somebody, writing it up for them, and sending it to them. That is still okay, right? Um, and I want you to think about trying to get reviews that are more in depth for the value that you delivered, because I believe that Google is reading them.
They definitely are. And having your clients leave reviews that say what you did, right? Like, was it a kitchen remodel? Was it a bathroom? Whatever it was, actually can help your ranking too. So it's important to not just say, hey, client, can you leave me a review? Instead, prompt them, right? Meaning, can you write a review and talk about what I did for you? What was your feelings on the before and after? Um, Feedback on my process, right? Give them ideas on what to write about, and that will help you not only in, of course, getting a review and being able to share it and people seeing it, but also in your ranking. So it's really
Yeah. And think about even sharing like in the review, like their location doesn't have to be their address, but maybe the city, right? And like the keywords that somebody would use, like if it's a kitchen design, or remodel or whatever, like those keywords, Google is looking at those. Do you respond to your online reviews and social media comments, right? That builds trust, that helps your SEO. Prove it with awards and certifications. So, has your company won any awards? Does your company have any certifications? Do you have any partnerships, sponsorship? Um, what associations and groups are you currently a member of? Do you make any donations or volunteer? Like we have we have one client that like it's really she's a pilot, right? And like communicating that is super important because she tracks other women pilots.
Right, right, exactly. And another one, races cars, right? So somebody might come to her and be like, oh my gosh, I love cars or whatever it may be, right? And that's going to attract them. So if you've got that story, share it, right? You can't assume that they'll just know or happen chance go to your Instagram and see something there. Like tell it and tell it multiple times.
Yes, absolutely. Create some like recaps, create a brand positioning strategy. Again, you can see how like that is key to everything. Messaging and design concepts to attract and convert your ideal client. So I want you to think about the order of this too. Is the first step is that brand positioning strategy. The next step is actually writing the copy, right? And then the next step is taking that copy and then laying it out so it flows on the website, right? Ashley, we don't start the website like laying, the messaging, the copywriting is going to drive the layout of how we're going to want to tell that story
Mm,
visually.
exactly, exactly. Because otherwise you're just trying to fit into boxes, if that makes sense, that may not be the best boxes for your ideal client when they're going through the site, right? If you're starting with the website design and then doing the copywriting. So that's why we start with the writing first. What are we actually going to be talking about here? What's important? Like she said a moment ago, some clients have things like publication, and magazines and things like that and awards. If you've got that, we want to show it off, right? So we want to make that a prominent thing on the website. And if you don't, that's okay, right? Get them eventually, but we're not going to be like, well, let's try to fit something else in here instead. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And I think that it's important. Like sometimes I get people coming to me and they want a really quick website and they're not understanding that these have to be done in order. Like like you have to do the strategy first, and then you can do the logo design and the messaging at the same time, the copywriting at the same time. But you need the logo and the copywriting, like, and even the strategy, so you have the SEO keywords and everything before you start building the website.
Right. It would be like going and demoing someone's kitchen before redrawing the plans, right?
Yeah, you would
Probably
never
wouldn't
do
go
that.
well.
Yeah, that's a super good example, right? That it has to be done in order. If if it's like you're just taking a website and then you're throwing the copy into it and you don't have the strategy, you don't have the key, like it's not going to it's not going to get you the results that you want, right? And if you build the website right, like they say that a website should be rebuilt every 3 to 4 years. We are not finding that. Like our websites, when we build them and do it correct, like I don't think we've had one client rebuild a site. Like they're lasting for years.
Yeah, it's more so about updating and
Yes.
updating as in things like obviously adding new projects, but things like blogs, or again, if you're getting published, adding those or winning awards, updating them. And we've had a couple clients do like slight, like I don't want to say a redesign, but maybe changing a
Mhm.
few of the layouts, right? Because their business has grown to do larger projects. So it needs to look a little different. So there's things like that too. So as long as the actual framework of it, and again, going back to like a house or a kitchen or whatever, right? The framework is done right, you can change the guts of it as you go along, right? But if the
Yeah.
the cabinet boxes are all, wonky, it's just not going to work.
Yes, absolutely. That's why, like, sometimes, like, if somebody comes to me and they have a website where the framework isn't there, the keywords aren't there, the layout's not there, Like like that base framework needs to be there in order for you to like start building on it.
Mhm.
Write text to build trust and position your business as an authority. Again, that text, that copy, that messaging, I want it to be like one of your sales conversations. In fact, most of our clients, after they work with Natalie and she rewrites their content, they actually do better when they're having a sales meeting because they're able to communicate that story that Natalie helped them with. Create a logo and website design and encourage your ideal client to take that next step. And then consistently update your website and online profiles to build trust and validate your business online. They're super important. Here again, we have, and thank you everybody for like staying with us, and we'll get to a Q&A. Here we have our audit, and you can either go to homedesignermarketing.com/audit, or you can scan the QR code here. We're really happy to help you out and really get you to understand how we're thinking your brand online, your website online is being perceived, and is it being perceived like, is it going to bring in that ideal client you're looking for, which is key, absolutely key, that first step.
Great. So there was a question that came in from Tara in the Q&A that I had answered, just typing in, but I'll bring it up here to Deborah just in case you have any additional feedback. But she said, in a company with multiple design chameleons and a wide berth of unique personalities and personal styles, what strategies to call attention to this while staying true to the overall brand? We pride ourselves on being able to speak in anyone's voice, but I think it's also important that we showcase our own. Not sure how to go about that conversation when implementing media that aligns. My answer to her, just so everybody else can hear too, in case you haven't read that. So being on the same page is important, obviously. What we do if there are multiple people involved is actually in our strategy process, have them send us information separately. We have a process for our strategy to intake information. That's really helpful. We actually, and then we pull it into a document, say, person one said this, person two said this, and then we go, you guys had different answers here. Why is that, right? And we'll talk about it. And so then we can say, okay, what are the gaps, but what are the strengths? Here's the things that you guys actually all said the same thing on, right? So great, but maybe there's a little bit of I don't know, issue here, but something that's not clear amongst the team. Let's talk about that. So we want to talk about how is everybody communicating with your clients, your leads, your vendors, your whoever. Is it the same? If it's not, should it be the same? How do you work? How are your processes? What's your level of experience? All of those things. And then look at who your ideal client is and say, okay, with all of this stuff that we just went through, what do we want to make sure that they're aware of? So like we were talking about earlier, if somebody came to you and go, "Nah, I'm ready because I feel like I already know you," that would be awesome, right? But how can we get them that information through the messaging, through the branding, through all of the things, so that as much as possible, they're like ready to go because they already know you. But you need to figure that out through the strategy end of knowing obviously your business and your team and all the things here and aligning that with your ideal client and telling them, right? Through the website, through the social media, through all the things.
Yeah. And I want to just say that Ashley, like design wise, is fantastic doing that. And then Natalie doing the copywriting is just like, you two are just amazing. Like I just love seeing like the new launches because it's like communicating, when you think that it's hard, it's almost like figuring out a puzzle, right? Where you have all these pieces and then you have to figure out like how to put it all together to tell that story. And that's why all the websites and the messaging and everything look and sound so different, is going through that process.
Yeah. There's another really good question from Joni in the chat. What do you do about photos if you're starting a brand new business? I've had many years of experience, but worked for a company that does not allow their photos to be used, even though the designs are her, or the kitchens are her designs, which we have run into that before.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yes, a couple angles. If you've already asked and that's a hard no from the company, that kind of is what it is. There is a way to approach, at least in the meantime, until you have your own photography, where there has been credit given to that, whatever that was, if it was a kitchen, bath, cabinetry, whatever it was. Some of them have agreed to that, until the designer, once you're on your own, get your own photos and then they can be replaced. If you're like, I really want this kitchen on my website or these kitchens. The other option is you could go the rendering route too. Renderings these days, I'm sure you all know, are incredible. The well done
Yeah,
ones. That sometimes it's you really wonder if it's actually a rendering or not. But that way too, you could have the control over that what's in the rendering, right? Versus if you were trying to get photos another way that you're just kind of using in the interim, which it's not suggested, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do, right? You can't have a photoless website as a designer. We know that. But renderings is a great way to do that.
yeah. And then we've also had some people photograph their own homes.
Yes, yes. So if you've done your own home, which
Yeah.
most of our clients have, that of course doesn't need to be put out into the world, but that's a great way. Or even if you've done, some of our clients have done like their parents' home or whatever it may be, a friend, ask them, plus you're probably much more likely to get them to, get it together and clean up a little bit, which maybe an old client isn't the case. But that's the way that I would go with that, Joni, if possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we don't, how many photos do you think are a minimum, Ashley?
If you were doing a small website, like even like a 3-page website, and you have a minimum amount of services, meaning you don't have this like huge list that needs a picture with every single one, you could get away with like 8, right? Small site, small site. I'd want you
Yeah.
to grow that really quickly, but that would at least get you some things where somebody could go, okay, yeah, they do some beautiful kitchens, bathrooms, living rooms, whatever it is, and go from there. But you got to start somewhere. It's partially just being realistic too with, when you're starting with nothing, right? Technically.
Yeah. And it definitely, like, we've had some people too that they're working on some really, beautiful projects, but maybe they're not going to be done for a year or two, right? And like really invest in something like the renderings,
Hmm.
um, because like again, you don't need to do a lot like 8, like Ashley said, for a smaller site. But you really need to showcase something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you're not investing in the photos and, you know, for those to bring in those ideal clients, it's going to really hold you back.
Yeah.
Like,
You got to sell the dream, right? Get them emotionally attached. Of course, we've got the like content and everything going on, but if you don't have the imagery to match it, it's going to be really difficult for someone to want to reach out to you if you're not kind of like proving you can do it kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. And it is like key to get that emotional response. That think about when you go shopping and whatever it is, it's a car you're in love with, it's a dress, it's some jewelry, it's a new dining room table, like whatever it is, right? And you're like, wow, like I am so in love with this. I don't care how much it is. I'm going to buy it no matter what, right? We all do that. We all make decisions like that. That is the emotional connection we want.
Yeah.
So if somebody is standing in one of the rooms, like let's say they're standing in one of the kitchens that you designed, and they're the feeling you want them to get of, wow, this is just so beautiful. I love everything about it. that is the same feeling I want them to have when they come and see your website or visit you online, right? That same beautiful wow.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, good. I don't see any other questions. I'll just double check. Appreciate you sending in your questions, everyone. That was good.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really, it is super important. Branding, I know it's one of my favorite topics. I'm super passionate about it. Um, but really think about how you're being perceived. If you're, feel free to schedule that audit. Um, we're happy to help and, you know, take a look at what's working and what's not working, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Tara. Appreciate all your comments.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And we're always doing the monthly webinars, and we do webinars for NKBA. So look out for those, and
More to come.
we're always here to help.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.